Your show's rubbish.
Hello for the third time and welcome to the Trout Spinners. We have a bit of technical issues here, technical discussion. It's a special show, it's a special XFM in the community. We're going to go through your feedback that we've had over the last few weeks. We've done a few shows that are a bit different. We've done interviews, we've done things like that, but we haven't got to your feedback as much. So we're going to go through that today. Miles, how you doing?
Oh, I'm hot, mate. I'm very sweaty, very claggy, but
right,
you know, it is it is beer drinking weather now, isn't it? It's officially beer drinking weather.
Miles is drinking beer as he says that. I can confirm.
Well,
or it might be cider.
Much.
No, that's cider because of the colour.
Yeah.
Looks like infected blood.
I just want to drink all the time at the moment. I don't know why. It's just this weather makes you happy.
Well, it's also because we lost out on all this last year, didn't we? So when it was like this last year, you weren't allowed out even, let alone to drink in a pub. So
no, and I've got my vaccine booked for the 11th of June.
Okay, I haven't yet, but I will do.
Well, you one of those anti-vaxxers, is it? Is that your problem? Is it? Is that your problem?
Yeah, I think the government, it's Bill Gates. Bill Gates is going to control me from his with the little joypad. But anyway, it's not going to be the longest show today. It's going to be a short one. I'll answer your question because you didn't bother asking me, but I'm all right as well, mate.
Thanks sorry. How are you?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'll answer. I've answered anyway. I'm all right. Yeah,
pleased to hear it. In a way,
I saw Pete today, and we've mentioned Pete on the show. Pete's like a recurring character. But he's real and he exists and he's a friend of ours. So I saw him today. He's doing well, which is
Pete gave us our big break on hospital radio, and I'm pleased to say, you know, we haven't exactly where we
started. He gave us a big stiff cock of a video as well, didn't he? One day, I remember that. No, he's a lovely guy, and so I saw him, and he's all right. And then I had a meeting, so now we're recording. But yeah, should we get to it, Miles? Should we get to the feedback?
Why not?
Should we start with Jack Bromfield?
Yeah, so Jack has actually set up a pub quiz in Hackney. It's going to be in London. It's called the Dove Pub in Hackney. I'll put a link in the description so everyone can check out the Facebook event, RSVP, and it's going to be on series 1 of the XFM shows. You know, put your money where your mouth is. He said there's going to expect some absolutely barn-stomping prizes on the night for teams, including a cigar, a pair of tights, and a tax-free £35 jackpot. So if you want to have that 35 quid, I do. I'm not great in pub quizzes, but I do fancy my chances of this one. So I know you're not sure if you're going to go yet, but I will be going.
And just I live a lot further away. I live in Brighton, so it's harder to go. I might try and pop down, but Jack, I think it's a great idea. Keep going with it, mate, and well done for setting it up. And Mars, if you go and I don't, I expect you to put on a good show on behalf of the Trout Spinners.
I'm not going to be sharing the prize money though if I win.
No, I'm happy. Do you know what, mate? I'm happy for you to keep that £35 and get that berry cider times 3, and you know spend it on yourself, mate.
They do a lovely delirium beer in that pub as well. Very strong beer.
That is absolute Brent. That's such a Brent thing. Say, I don't know. Okay, they do a lovely delirium beer. Great. Okay, no one. Who cares? But no,
it's nice. It's a little elephant. It's got a little elephant as the brand mascot. It's nice. Anyway,
so do the World Wildlife Fund. Yeah.
This is from Chris D. Hello, Mars and Gary. Hello from Perth, Australia. I thought I'd shoot you an email as I'm a long-time listener and have been a big fan of your podcast. Have you ever been to Australia? I'd love to go to Australia.
No, so I was speaking about this with Pete, actually. He was speaking about Melbourne, and it's sort of like saying it's like Brighton, but I wouldn't go. Do you know why I wouldn't go? I don't have fear of them in this country, but the spiders, I just
my God, don't be one of those people.
Spiders. Oh yeah, if you've ever seen Miles around a bee or even a fly, but especially a bee or a wasp, he goes mental. He is the most terrified person I've ever seen in the presence of a bee.
They've got like nets and stuff, and you know, it's not like in England where like a badger's going to come through your window or a fox is going to.
No, a kangaroo will. It's it's even worse.
Have you seen the way like kangaroos box?
They're very muscly.
Very muscly. Well, you watch them, were you?
Yeah.
Well, you watch.
No. Gaynor say no.
I came across your podcast by accident on Spotify. So many people do. It was a great find.
Terrible accident that we would never repeat.
As I've never even met anyone who knew about the Ricky's podcast, radio shows, guide tos, etc. So to meet someone who knows them as well as you guys do will be awesome. If you have any other Perth listeners, could you please pass on my details and maybe we can get a group going? Yeah. So this is a message to anyone living in Perth who knows
Australia.
They can travel. It's okay. Go
and have a Perth get it. How did Perth get there? Come down the motorway, did it?
Go have a drink with Chris D, all right, fellas?
No, seriously, in all seriousness, if you are Australian, do get in touch with us and we'll put you in touch with Chris. And love to do that.
Both yours and Ricky's podcast radio shows have been so great to listen to, especially at the moment with isolation. One reason I love them is that I can really zone out whilst listening, and it's almost like hanging out with mates. On occasion, I even find myself pausing them so I can think, verbalise my opinion on whatever it is that you're talking about. I love that you could just sort of have a little conversation to yourself and go, oh, I agree with that.
No, it's funny. I love that took 12 takes to get for you to say it right. But,
one thing that really does date Ricky's radio, however, for me, and there aren't that many, is when Steve spells out the eBay website URL.
Yeah, that really does. It does, absolutely. It's EBAY, as if like anyone would need.
Well, Ricky does that sometimes, doesn't he? When he's asking them to spell out the address for the radio station as well, and he's like, I don't get it, and Ricky's like, oh, come on.
But that doesn't date it. That's just like Ricky's laziness.
That's like you would not understand how Spotify works.
Well, what the music comes down the telephone line. I do understand it. It comes.
You know what?
Down...
I did actually find quite flattering the other day when I went to see my mum. And she's just sort of getting into... She's trying to immerse herself in the world of technology, social media or whatsoever. And, even like little things like Microsoft Office. And she wanted to ask my opinion on like tech tips. And I just felt a little bit like, I am good at something.
Compared to her, you're good. Yeah, that's the same with me and my dad. Compared to him, I know about technology. Compared to most people my age or younger, I don't know that much.
It's a superior sense of superiority.
I don't think that would be instilled in many people in that scenario. But in you, I can absolutely get that you had a sense of superiority and that came because I can totally believe that, and that's not a lie, ladies and gentlemen. What were we saying? Technology. Okay, yeah. Thank you, Chris, for your email anyway. And what's the next one?
This is from Sam Richardson. Cheers for the shout out, lads. I was literally about to fall asleep. Then I jolted right up when I heard my name mentioned. You wouldn't believe the smile on my face. You guys have definitely improved from the shoddy shite of a show in the early episodes.
Oh, God.
Keep it up and you'll be well on your way to getting a bronze at the Sonys. Well, thanks. Sam, we didn't actually get a nomination at the British Podcast Awards. I haven't told Gary this yet, but...
No, but I knew, because I think you'd have told me now. Yes, I did assume we didn't get a nomination.
But no, cheers, Sam. I'm glad we help you go to sleep.
Yeah, no, jolt. We hope jolt up. Like, so if you're just drifting off just now, he would have jolted up
Sam,
again.
Wake up.
Get up, man. It's 3 a.m. What are you doing? You shouldn't be in bed.
I love
should
that.
Be working on the farm.
I think we have improved, actually.
Yeah, we have improved. Well, from a very low bar.
Steve Weller, long-time contributor. Hi, fellas. Love the interview with Luke Campbell. What a lovely bloke, and nice to hear him sharing his stories about the K-Man. A moron in the sun made me laugh so much. I think you both make really good interviewers, and I'm looking forward to more like that. Outstanding work, guys. Cheers, Steve. I'm glad you enjoyed the interview.
Steve. Well, actually, since that interview went out, we've had 2 more interviews go out. One with Nigel Williams and one with Matt Everett. Yeah. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed them as well, and let us know what you think. But thank you very much for your email.
This is from Liam, and Liam does always...
Yeah, Liam's... Yeah, what am I today? What are we today?
Dear Matthew and Gavin, the Luke Campbell interview was amazing. I could imagine that being a special feature on an Idiot Abroad DVD. Really well done with that one. My only criticism would be that it's too interesting and it didn't put me to sleep like your other episodes. Please don't get too interesting or I'll have to stop listening.
We absolutely will comply with that.
Little food for thought, though. For a while, Ricky moans and gets annoyed at Rockbusters, but do you think this reaction was exaggerated / made up to make it seem funnier, or or do you think it was his actual reaction? I always thought his reactions were over the top and the clues are actually quite clever and funny. What do you think?
Absolutely the former. Yeah, it's intended as entertainment, and it did make it more entertaining. He did do it well. You know, Ricky was part of why Rockbusters was so interesting. If Ricky had reacted like, oh, they're all good clues and all the time, like a normal presenter, Rockbusters, we wouldn't be talking about Rockbusters 20 years later today. But it's partly because of how Ricky reacts and the clues. That's what made it such a endearing and enduring feature. And absolutely, they're exaggerated. There's some clues that are good. Yeah, of course he exaggerates all the time. Yeah.
Neil Demand.
Neil Demand.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
That is shit, Karl. I know it's Christmas, but yeah, that's another one. But he of course overreacts for entertainment's sake, and he does it very well, Ricky.
He says, I really want to hear you guys interview Steve. Mate, me too.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Maybe try the approach that he can advertise his new series, The Offenders, on your podcast. If he still doesn't come on, we can try to annoy him on the podcast. I'm sure many of your followers would happily comment on all of his posts multiple times and even email his agent from all our email addresses.
Oh, God, no, don't do that.
Eventually, I reckon he would give in and come onto the podcast.
Well, no, thank you for this. No, that might maybe that'll be a last resort, but we're trying the softly approach for now. And softly, basically, he's not listening, but still, we'll see. But thank you for that, and thanks for your email in general, Wet Lettuce.
I'd love to talk to Steve. I think out of everyone, I would probably enjoy to talk to him more than.
Yeah.
I think he'll be the one that's more likely to talk to us about the XFM shows, whilst everyone else is quite coy and eager to move on. I think.
I started thinking that he was the most likely, but I think Karl's the most likely now to do it, and he's sick of us because we keep interviewing his mates, and they keep saying to him, like, "It's Karl, is this all right to go out?" And Karl, do you want to come on their show? Like, because they want. But I still think he'd be more likely to do it. I think Steve's moved on in his life too much. But anyway, you never know. Who's next, Miles?
This is from Johnny Whale. I think it would be a good idea to get loads of helium balloons and lift Gary into the air to celebrate the 20th anniversary of XFM. Okay. Either that or see how many grapes he can eat during Blur Song 2.
Well, we might actually do that one. We're thinking of doing that, a live event, yeah.
How many helium balloons would it take for you to...
Just one. I'm very small. No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that would be possible. I think you'd need like the Lindenberg, or Hindenburg. Sorry, not Lindenberg.
Would you ever go in a hot air balloon?
No, I don't think I would. I don't think too much could go wrong.
You are quite risk adverse in your life, aren't you? Generally.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I just don't like spiders and hot air balloons.
Do you like theme parks?
Yeah, I don't like the scary ones. It's scary. Mum, don't make me go on.
What's the most sort of riskiest, dangerous situation you've ever put yourself in?
I did paragliding.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Off the back of a boat. Yeah, I was quite proud of that.
Have you been mugged or anything like that?
Have you been mugged? No, I haven't. No, I've been sort of challenged to a fight, but never had one.
Just challenged. Well, I told you that that New Year's when I was walking home with my mate.
I think so. Yeah, you must have told me.
I just tell the listeners for the benefit of them. It was some New Year's Eve party that I'd been to. This was like when I was 16 or 17. I'd just been there, and we were walking back home. Me and my friend, we were both a bit drunk at this point, and there was a group of lads on the other side of the road. This is quite a busy main road that we're talking about, and we're both having a nice time listening to music as you do on your walk home. And these lads just crossed the road, and they started like walking behind us. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck's sake. Because it's a big group of people. You've got to be careful.
Miles is not a lad as well.
I'm not a lad at all. And they start getting closer to us, like coming, like literally walking right up our ass. And I could sense danger straight away. My spidey sense is tingling. I then walk off into someone's front garden, and I just begin knocking frantically at their door, saying, you got to help us. You got to help us. I think we're about to get mugged. By these guys. And I walked into his face. He's like, come in. I'm a police officer. The guy was a police officer.
You haven't told me this, actually.
Which is absolutely insane. And took me to a seat at his table. He's like, right, I'm getting my car. We're going to go out. We went out because we couldn't find my friend. And I was like, oh, my God. I'm starting
You left your friend to do this? That is terrible. That is terrible.
Let's not go into that.
Let's go into it. That's the worst. That's the aspect I'm interested in. That you left your friend.
I thought he was going to do the sensible thing and follow me. And that's what everyone would do when your instincts, when that adrenaline hits. Anyway, we went to the car. We drove around Ipswich, around the sort of local areas. Couldn't find him. Eventually, I get a call, probably about 15 minutes later, after I've been driving around this police. He's in the back, my friend's in the back of an ambulance. And I just start crying. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I'm so sorry.
They beat him up.
They gave him a good whacking on his face. And luckily, they didn't take anything, but they did try.
I can't believe you ran off. That is indicative of your future life and the way you've lived and the way you sort of see yourself and others. The relative importance of safety between you and your friends.
I've just got a very severe sense of urgency.
Take the piss out of me because I don't like going in a hot air balloon.
Look, I'm prepared for any situation.
No, you're not. He is not prepared for a bunch of like gangster clowns knocking at his door and trying to get in.
I was genuinely terrified in that stage, and I've had a few people who've got mugged, and to me it just sounds like the most, that and breaking into someone's house. I just can't even imagine what that must be like. God.
Well, luckily you got away because you left them to get him. Luckily, if you were on your own, they would have got you, but because you left him as bait. Basically.
You've got to have a sacrificial lamb in your life. Okay,
exactly,
everyone.
Yeah, and that's everyone Mars knows except for himself.
I don't feel good about that. Can I just say?
No, I don't think you should.
I feel great about it.
Yeah, exactly. Who's next?
Who's next? So this is from our friends at the Wernham blog. I know a lot of our listeners go and listen to them as well, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Listen to all kinds of different podcasts.
Not every kind. Not maybe Antipodean ones. That means Australian, but go on.
Random one, but I thought you might be the best ones to say this to remember. When Ricky talks about the aim of a game Karl came up with, as if it was to develop an interpersonal language where you know what the other person is saying without having to explicitly say it. I think they're referring to when it goes, tall, big eyes, in the restaurant.
Yeah.
As I lay here with a pain in my stomach for non-Agenbach reasons, all I can think of is how I want something heavy and cold to press up against my belly. I reckon there is something so utterly unpretentious about Karl that he always speaks in feelings, if that makes sense. Like, even though he can't get the words out, I know how exactly he's trying to convey because he's talking from a weird primal place, which is hard not to be in sync with in a weird way. That is true.
I think that's good. Yeah, it's a good analysis.
Like abstract, conceptual, feelings and emotions, doesn't he?
Without knowing he's doing it. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because you say you pain in your belly. There's podcast. This is podcast era stuff, but try to get an ashtray, as if anyone ever has ashtray, because it's old cold, as Karl says. It's like old cold. It's like still cold when it's not cold around it. And again, that's Karl sort of speaking in a kind of more direct, but also ironically indirect way of like conveying the coldness of an ashtray and how helpful it is when you've got a pain in your stomach, because it is old cold. It's not the way anyone else would describe it. He does. And yeah, he does talk in that sort of emotionally signifying way rather than a direct way that most people would converse. That's a good way of putting it.
That's a good point, though, as well. Old cold, right? It's not that dissimilar to, having a hot water bottle.
Yeah, no, but it's describing it. You could describe it as cold, but he's like, it's not like cold like in the fridge, but how can I describe it? It's like old cold. It's a weird way of describing that cold, but it's true. It's kind of true. It is a coldness that's like if you pick up an ashtray, in general, it's quite cold to put on you, and it's kind of quite comforting. It gives you that cold sensation in your belly. So anyway, yeah, thanks Wernham blog for that.
People don't also have ashtrays anymore in their house, do they? No, generally speaking.
I use a plastic container full of water.
That is so student-y. I remember I went to this was another New Year's Eve party, and it was my mate. It was in Norwich, and they had a celebrations tin full of fag butts, and I mean literally, full the top.
And that's quite big, celebrations too.
They are huge, and I was almost sick at the sight of it. I just thought, this is so. Can you imagine just how many cigarettes? If you were to like line them up, you know the way Gillian McKeith used to line up food on a table and say, this is what you consume in a week.
Yeah.
If they were to do the same thing with like roll-ups or straights, just say, this is how much you and your mates smoked this night.
That night,
wouldn't you?
Some nights we've met, they would be. It would be.
How many cigarettes have we? What's like the max amount of cigarettes we've smoked in a night? Would you say?
About 50.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably right. What? It's just so bad, isn't it? Smoking.
That is a lot. It's 25 each. Yeah, it's terrible. But we should need to. This is. I want a theme tune like. Miles's New Year's Eve escapades. That's what this episode should be.
This is why I don't like New Year's Eve parties, because they're either always disappointing.
You're either mugged or you're presented full of a celebrations tin full of fag butts. It's always one or the other.
And our last bit of correspondence is from Neil Doherty. Enjoying the show as ever, guys, so keep it up. Interviews such as the one with Luke Campbell tell me there doesn't need to be a direct link to the XFM shows for the guest episodes to be very insightful and entertaining. I'm so glad you say that, Neil, and you've spotted that, because when we're trying to source guests for this show, obviously our pool is quite shallow. So we're kind of spreading our wings.
It doesn't mean it sounds like you're saying they're not worth having. It's quite small, I'd say. Just say it's a small pool. But I know exactly what you mean. I just wanted to. It came across like you're saying.
Thanks.
Oh, they were all. Yeah, well, that's right. They were all like it's like Claire's like, oh, she's not worth it. No, we are trying to get the core guests on, but as Mars says, there's a very small pool, so we have branched out a bit into kind of more XFM stroke radio stroke audio podcasting world people.
And I would also say, if you do enjoy those episodes, and Neil has already done this, but do join us on Patreon, because we kind of spread our wings a little bit and we speak about things related to the XFM shows, and you just got to give us a small donation. It doesn't need to be much. Or it can be as much as you're willing to part with.
So at 30 quid at a cash point, I reckon that's around monthly fee that should be.
Yeah.
No, it's seriously, you can pay anything like a £5 most people pay. So, get on there, and because we like getting the money. No, joking. We genuinely enjoy doing the extra content and stuff, and we'll carry on doing that. So thanks, Neil, for joining us on Patreon, and thank you for your email.
Oh no, it's not finished yet.
Thank you for your email so far.
Anyway, thought I'd share the following with you before I milk it for karma on the Ricky Gervais subreddit, which is also excellent. I do highly recommend people go and check that out. I'll put a link in the description. I love it. Recently got married. Congratulations. And somehow convinced my partner to allow me to pick the theme for the cake. I like that he gets all the really important jobs. The cake.
We pick the venue and the guest list, and you do the cake. A little bit.
I wonder if he even chose his own suit. I mean,
probably not.
Of course, I was not going to miss a chance to put my favourite monkey news as the theme. So what could be better than number 86, giving it some and driving the bride and groom in a car? It was an automatic.
That is genius.
And we've already posted it on our Twitter, but I do urge you to go over there and check it out, because it is a beautiful cake, really well made, and I would proudly have that on the head table. She is from Sri Lanka, and it took place there. In case you're wondering why it is a tuk-tuk. What is a tuk-tuk?
It's like a little self-driven, like it's like a little like a van, but completely open, and it's got like you drive around in it, and you can. It's on often a bicycle is on the front of it, and a bicycle kind of controls it.
I must say it was immensely satisfying finding someone who can appreciate the nonsense and humour in the XFM shows, and we often watch short YouTube clips from the show together. That was honeymoon, wasn't it?
Should we go to bed? No, I've got this monkey news. It's got they opened a hospital together. No, that is amazing. Actually, it's absolutely genius. Your cake.
Though I feel some of the subtleties of the humour in the show, such as the details you analyse on your show, can sometimes be lost to the people from some of the other parts of the world, I still feel that the overall quality or lack thereof is enjoyed all over the world.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks very much. I really appreciate that. And if some people in the world can enjoy this, I'm pleased. Sometimes, we've got people from all over the world who listen, because we get the figures, and right, like in week 1, we had a couple of little Saudi Arabian fellas listening, which was
Saudi
kind
Arabian fellas.
Yeah, which is crazy. But yeah, hopefully some people can enjoy it. I get that, yeah, the link, the references will be lost on some, but I'm really pleased you got married. Congratulations. Pleased you seem to get on with your wife, which is not everyone does. But also that you enjoy the show together and that you've kind of introduced her to the shows, and also that you did that cake. I think it's genius, and thanks for contacting us and let us know. It's one of my favourite things I've ever seen.
You would be literally like Karl, wouldn't you, when he sat on the wedding day? I'll ask all the normal questions. How long have you known them? How long do you think it will last?
Yeah,
that would be you.
What sort of tax breaks you getting?
I love that when Karl says, "I don't think they do them anymore."
No, I think Ricky says it, but yeah, he says that he's looked into it. They do actually do tax breaks for married people, but back then maybe they
advice. I've got a wedding coming up in August.
Not your own.
No, hell no, absolutely not.
Not for that.
No, it's for one of my girlfriend's clients who's they're a bit posh. She works with quite some little fancy people. And it's going to be in Chelsea, in London, which is like quite a swanky part. I said swanky in London. Yeah. And apparently they're all quite sort of well-to-do, kind of got big, sexy jobs. And I'm a little bit... Any words of advice for me on how to behave?
Don't talk to anyone. And, just stay on the sidelines drinking your little cider.
How many ciders am I allowed to drink that night?
I'd say you're allowed to drink upwards of 12 and downwards of 16.
Yeah,
I'm being realistic.
That's good advice.
Good advice, mate. Good advice.
I feel like you're setting me up for a fall here.
No, I'm not.
Anyway.
I really want it to go well.
Cheers.
Really want it to go well, mate. No, but thanks for all your feedback, everyone, and really appreciate it. Very kind of you. Yeah, we love sharing it, and that's why we did this special today, so we could go through it in detail, we could give it the time and attention that it deserves, and hopefully we've done that, and you enjoyed the show. And we'll be back next week with not another interview. We've done too many interviews for ourselves to we're all interviewed out, but we'll be back with a review of episode 47 of the Ricky Gervais Show Series 2, and we hope you enjoy it. That'll be out next weekend probably.
And also, we are literally counting down the shows now, aren't we, for season 2? We've only got about 3 or 4 left.
I think
Can't
there's
believe it.
4 left, 4 or 5 left.
Oh, God,
Yes.
that'll bring us right up to August. If you do have any feedback, guys, any stories, quotes, favourite moments, or just want to get in touch generally, spinnerspodcast@gmail.com, or on Twitter, that's spinnerspodcast.
Also, like, if you want ways that we celebrate, ways for us to celebrate the 20th anniversary, because we're planning on certain things, and we want your suggestions as well, so let us know.
Definitely. All right, guys, that's all from us today. Have a fantastic week, and we'll speak to you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.